together. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name.
Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven.
Give us this day our daily bread,
and forgive us our trespasses,
as we forgive them
those who trespass against us.
Lead us
Lead
not
us
into
not into
temptation,
temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the
power and glory, forever and ever.
Amen.
Honourable members, I wish to inform the Parliament that pallbearers carrying the casket of late Honourable Jimmy Ugro, MP, Member for Oshinobundi and Minister for Education, will be admitted into the chamber. With the concurrence of the Parliament, the pallbearers will be admitted into the chamber. The question is that the motion be agreed to. Those in favour say aye. And those against say no. Ayes have it. Members may be seated. The Honorable Prime Minister.
Mr. Acting Speaker, I move that this Parliament expresses its deep regret at the untimely passing and death of the Honorable Jimmy Guro, the member for Usuno Bundi Open Electorate and our National Minister for Education on the 6th of February 2024, and places on our record its appreciation for his meritorious public service. And we tender our profound sympathy to the family who are in bereavement. Mr. Acting Speaker, today is one of these days where you don't like to wake up to. I entered Parliament this morning to go to our government caucus with drizzles of rain, and it just befits the occasion where our comrade, our brother in arms in the cause of our people's service, was being transported in a casket into our people's house. Mr. Acting Speaker, up in the public gallery, we have family, dear wife and children, representing immediate family, representing the extended family, people of Usinabundi, people of Medang, and of course, the entire country who are mourning the passing of our national leader, a very, very strong, committed, dedicated leader who has fallen in the cause of his duty. I, on behalf of my wife Rachel, our children, not just the people of Taripori, but the greater people of our country, especially also in the network and familyhood of the great Pangu Party, we want to offer our sincerest condolence, sympathies, and well wishes in this occasion where our brother, our comrade, is now lying in state, awaiting the final respects that we will give him before he's laid to rest. The Honorable Luguro typifies a leader committed to his duties, even at the expense of his own personal well-being. Mr. Deputy Speaker, Acting Speaker, we work in a thankless job. We work in a thankless job, not that we want thank you and appreciation, but we labor on and work on despite personal effects on our own self. I speak knowing very well the conditions of my brother. A couple of years back, he had a massive stroke, but he's labored on and soldiered on, making his utmost best to recover from the stroke he had. And he died in his sleep. He died in his sleep while attending to a call of duty to the people of this country in an educational work up in East Sepik province. He was at work during the day, he was at work during the night. And he clocked off work at around 11 o'clock or just before midnight, and he slept into forever. He breathed his last breath that night. And I want to say to my brother Jimmy, on behalf of his comrades who started the movement that changed the government in 2019, I want to say thank you very much. He was a co-foundational member of this movement. And we would miss him. But Mr. Speaker, it reminds us of the peril of life we live in today. A short time we're here to work for our people, and I want to thank him for the work he's done in the education sector. He was a true blue-blooded educationist. An example of many Papua New Guineans who've left school out of grade 10 or grade 8, grade 10, who are out there in our society. And he came through the flexible, open, distance education system. In those days, it was called CODE. Under his words, we revolutionized the flexible, open, distance education system. Under his words, over 100,000 Papua New Guineans have been brought back to second chance learning, matriculating into grade 12, sitting examinations like those sitting in classroom. Those were work he put in. We will focus on the next 50 years of educational revolution for our country, where education becomes a tool to give informed decision to our citizens so that they too can live a life of self-sustaining. His work will be remembered. The work in the education sector will go on honoring the blueprint he cast to modernize and reform the lower education so that quality citizens can be produced, and not just educated citizens, but quality, wholesome citizens of our country. Brother Jimmy, I will miss you. We will miss you. You have run your race. God created you, and you were rested in his presence. He knew exactly the night you took your last breath. May you rest in peace. We'll honor you fully in your last leg of journey before you rested. But I shall commit the aspirations, said aspirations of better, wholesome education to our people. We'll continue on in that work. Thank you for your service to your country. May God bless you.
Leader of Opposition.
Thank you, Mr. Acting Speaker. First of all, on behalf of my people of TVWAN Good Enough, the people of Malembe Province, the greater opposition, and the people of PNG, and my immediate family, we pass our condolences to the family of the late Jimmy Ugoro, as more so to his good wife and his children. Mr. Acting Speaker, I came to know Jimmy Ugoro, and as our brother lay in state this morning, and our friend, our colleague, I do not always call him as Jimmy. I address him as Ugoro. And on the day he passed, getting the message or the news through social media, I ran the Wax Minister to confirm, because there were a couple of us with the Wax Minister who always team up and say hello to each other. And he said, yes, our brother has departed. Today, as I stand here to deliver a short message, I would like to reflect to the life of this man, Mr. Ugoro, Honorable Jimmy Ugoro. I got to know him when, during the impasse or the vote of no confidence, and we moved into Laguna. And a good Prime Minister seated before us asked me if I could stay at his place. and I asked him kindly if I could share the room with the late Ugoro. That is when I got to know this great man, this humble man. And I thank you for the times, my dear brother, we spent, and the times we discussed some great, much important things for this nation, and especially for your people of Usino Bundi. Late, our brother before us is a very humble man, a man of very few words. But he's a man who'd like to be seen with the work he does. I'm not like blame, trumpet blame, no man by Harry. Not that. I think work blame. I'm sorry, one kind man. So man, I'm stop one time you now. Mr. Acting Speaker, I'd like to say that may we, like our departed brother, leader, friend, and colleague, thank him for his service, humble service to our country at the highest, as the highest calling, with humility and courage for our people and for this great nation. I think he saw the highest calling in his life, and he took it with dedication. And as the Prime Minister has already mentioned, he was on duty travel and he passed doing his work. May I suggest to this Parliament, plenty of brother blaming, leaders of this nation in this Parliament and in the past Parliament have passed. Now you may lose Tintin, Law young families or Lucy, now I'll go. What can this Parliament do and legislate in order for us to care and love and cherish the leadership that they've taken with them but left their families alone? One of something we can walk in. Me been talk the last funeral in Mikamlo here, when I spoke, I said this. I said, when we have only 2 appointments in this world. Appointment number 1 is when we are born. And appointment number 2 is when we are called to go back to our Creator. Now, Mr. Speaker, let me conclude by putting this to us. I have mentioned this and I'll mention it time and time again. The best way to mourn for the dead is to care for the living. I mean, like putting this lakamli, this Parliament, our listeners out there, and the people of Papua New Guinea, that of all things that we can do, let's love one another. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honorable Governor for Madang.
Thank you, Mr. Acting Speaker, Prime Minister, Leader of the Opposition, State Ministers, and honorable members of this House. Today, I rise on this sad and solemn occasion to pay tribute to my Minister for Education and my member for Usino Bundi, Gama, District in Madang. Mr. Acting Speaker, on the outset, I, for and on behalf of myself, my family, and the people of Madang, pass my sincere, heartfelt condolences to Mrs. Ugoro and the children, Donald, Margaret, Darrell, Maureen, Millie, and the granddaughters, Hope and Faith Ugoro. I extend my condolence to the people of Usuno Bundi Gama district and the people of Greater Medellin for the untimely loss and passing of Medellin's very own son and leader, late Minister, Honorable Jimmy Uguro, who lies in fate before us. Mr. Acting Speaker, Medellin mourns the death of its son and great leader, and I sympathize with my people at such a time as this for our loss. It is not only a loss to the late minister's family and the people of Usuno Bundi Gama district, but it is a loss to the people of Medellin province, the education ministry and department, the government, and this nation. Mr. Acting Speaker, I acknowledge the accolades, commendations, and tributes by the Prime Minister and the Leader of the Opposition, and I would like to say a few. Mr. Acting Speaker, the late Minister walked a long journey of life of determination through triumphs and tribulations in life. He graduated from grade 10 in 1991 from Brahman High School in Usuno Bundi Gama, Medellin. But he did not stop from his dream of pursuing education. He attended Ford to do grade 11 and 12 and graduated in 1993. But that was not enough for him, Mr. Acting Speaker. He pursued his dream by graduating with a diploma in primary teaching at the Medellin Teachers College in 1995. He was not settled with that, as he had a dream that grew bigger as time goes by. And he went on to graduate with a bachelor's degree in education at the University of Goroka in 2001. Mr. Acting Speaker, after graduating from the University of Goroka, his dream grew even greater and bigger, and he could not settle for less. And he went on to graduate with a master's degree in education at the University of TVWAN in 2005. Mr. Acting Speaker, with the master's degree at hand, that was not enough for him, as there was an urge in him that drove him even more further to impart what he had learned back to the community as much as possible. And in 2017, Mr. Acting Speaker, his dream grew much greater that he entered Parliament for the first time as member for Usuno Bundi Gama district in Medellin. Mr. Acting Speaker, in December 2020, I thank the Prime Minister for recognizing the late Minister's dream as an educationist and appointed him to the Cabinet as Minister for Education. The people of Usuno Bundi Gama district had begun to realize the dream, the significant dream the minister had, and therefore they've returned him to the 11th Parliament in 2022. Mr. Acting Speaker, as an educationist in the Education Ministry and Department, one of the greatest contributions he had done to the journey of this great nation since independence was the establishment of PNG Education Transformation Vision 2025 to 2075. He carried that dream, Mr. Acting Speaker, all along and laid it down as a 50-year vision for education in this country. He was indeed a visionary leader. The only minister that I know had a 50-year vision for his ministry and the department. Mr. Acting Speaker, apart from being a minister, he was an outstanding and performing member of parliament in Medellin in terms of service delivery. The Usuno Bundi, Gama district and Medellin province never had such a leader before. The services he had delivered for his district speak for themselves. Mr. Acting Speaker, throughout his illustrious career, the late minister unwavering commitment to the betterment of our education system. With his visionary leadership, he championed initiatives to enhance access to quality education for all, irrespective of socioeconomic background and geographical locations. His tireless efforts were instrumental in fostering innovation, equality, and excellence within our schools, empowering countless young minds to reach their fullest potential. I can correctly state here that he was a reformer in the education system of our country. Mr. Acting Speaker, beyond his role as a legislator and state minister, late Honorable Jimmy Ugoro was a beacon of integrity, compassion, and hope for the unfortunate ones who could not continue with the standard formal education system, and gave them a hope through thought that he had himself came through. He approached every challenge with grace and humility, earning the respect and admiration of colleagues and constituents alike. His genuine concern for the welfare of students and educators alike was evident in every policy he pursued and every decision he made. Mr. Acting Speaker, the late Honorable Jimmy Ugoro had something special in him. He was full of positivity, and never have I seen him without a smile on his face. The smile that silently tells you all will be okay. Mr. Acting Speaker, we say thank you to his family, his clan, his tribe, the people of Usuno Bundi, and Medellin for lending us the late minister. The late Honorable Minister was a larger-than-life personality in our country's education sector. Mr. Acting Speaker, as we mourn the loss of the late minister, let us also celebrate his remarkable contributions to our great nation. Though he may no longer walk among us, his legacy will endure through the countless lives he had touched and the transformative changes he had established. Let us honor his memory by continuing the work that he so passionately pursued, the PNG Education Transformation Vision 2025 to 2075. And I ask the government to implement, to embrace, and not to forget. Let me finish by saying this. Mr. Acting Speaker, the late Minister, Honorable Jimmy Ugoro, was not sick and away from duty when he passed on. He died while on his duty as a state minister. He died doing what he loved the most as an educationist. He died saving his country. On that note, my late minister, member, and Hawaii. I salute you, for you died giving life to the spirit of our forefathers, reflected in the first goal of our national goals and directive principles, enshrined in the preamble of the national constitution that calls for integral human development. For you died giving life to the spirit of education in our great nation. May your soul rest in eternal peace, and may your legacy continue to inspire generations to come in this great nation. Mr. Speaker, I finish off by quoting one of his favorite quotes that says, as an educationist, you can be qualified but not educated enough to do the right thing. That is the center of his PNG Education Transformation Vision 2025 to 2075. Hawaii, you may rest in peace now. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Deputy Prime Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Assistant Speaker. I'd like to take this time also to join the condolences on our late Education Minister. On behalf of my family, the people of Lae, people of Morobe, the Greater Momasia region, the Pangu Party caucus, I'd like to extend my heartfelt condolences to the wife, family, the clan of the late Jimmy Uguro, the Honorable Jimmy Uguro. It's no easy task when we stay here in chamber and we say bid farewell to a fellow comrade that we have shared meals with, shared meeting rooms with, shared stories with. It is no easy task. Unfortunately, we are all meant to go one day, and Jimmy's journey ended last week. What can you say? The Honorable Jimmy Uguro, everything has been said about him. But the biggest thing that we learned from this journey, a man of quiet words, but a lot of action. A man who believed in his dreams, an education reformist who loved his job, and his own life story emulates that. A perfect example, someone finished grade 10, but didn't say that was enough. He went on to FODE, finished FODE, said that was not enough. He got a diploma, ended up getting a master's degree, ended up becoming the member for Usino Bundi, ended up becoming the education minister of Papua New Guinea. His story is a story of an example of perseverance in the face of adversity. He rose to challenges and overcome all those obstacles. His story, his legacy should be the ones that a lot of our people should follow. A lot of our people, a lot of our children should know that the journey, the footsteps, the examples that the late Honorable Jimmy Uguro did was what that can be easily emulated. And that is a story and the legacy he leaves behind. His dreams of a better education in Papua New Guinea was always discussed in numerous cabinet meetings, in numerous discussions with all of us. His only dream was to make certain the education department was reformed, and each and every person, each and every child, no matter their upbringing, no matter where they came from, no matter their education level, that they should be given a chance for an equal opportunity in terms of education. To his family, you have lost a father that will never be replaced. To his tribe, you have lost a son that will never be replaced. We have lost an exceptional person that will never be replaced. Let us all emulate his legacy, let us all keep him in our spirits and memories, and let us continue the journey that makes and remembers the Honorable Uguro's legacy for Papua New Guinea and for the children of our great nation. Once again, I'd like to pass my serious, sincere condolences to the family of the late Uguro. Words will never take away your loss. Words will never replace the Honorable Uguro in your lives. After all this is said and gone, you will be the only persons left with the memories. Cherish those memories. And Honorable Jimmy Uguro walks between us in our thoughts and his actions and his legacy. Thank you, True. God bless Parata. We'll see you on the other side. Thank you.
The Honorable Governor for ECPIC.
Thank you, Mr. Acting Speaker. Mi sanap long, look sawe long. Prata member mi lusim life, time mi walk about tikam walk long. Bless blomi. So lo maki mouse blong, all people blong ECPIC. Number one, me like talk big platok, thank you. I go along. Family, now all people blong madang. Where you play makim this lamani kami stop na. Lo good pla work and me give him where people blow me benefit. Na especially lo this la have work and me walk about long him. All people blow me pla long West Yangoru na Yamil Tamawi. Me makim mouse blong all too. Na mi talk sorry. Also me come walk lo have lo me pla na me lose him life. Makim ken this la mouse me like talk thank you. Honorable Jimmy Uguro, long service belong you, long people belong ECPIC, na long service belong you, long people belong Papua New Guinea. Long all family, big platok sore go, long all tribesmen, big platok sore go, long all people belong madang, one pla big pla kwila blow you pla loose, me pla people blow ECPIC, he look sawe, na give him big platok sore, he go long you pla. Thank you, Mr. Acting Speaker.
The Honorable Member for Kompia Mambo.
Thank you, Mr. Acting Speaker. Fellow members of Parliament, I also rise on this solemn occasion to pay my last respects to the Honorable Jimmy Uguro. Another casket of a comrade lies before us, and this will be his last visit to the People's House and the final opportunity for us to bid him farewell, Mr. Acting Speaker, before he is taken to rest in the lands of his forefathers. This moment, Mr. Acting Speaker, reminds us again that life is short, and this short life is a gift. We are only passing through and have a limited time to make a difference. When we sit in sober moments like this, it is also a good time to reflect. It is said in a good book, in the book of Ecclesiastes, there is a time for everything, a time to be born, and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to uproot, a time to weep and a time to love, a time to mourn and a time to dance. This is your time to rest, Brother Jimmy, and it is our time to weep. My heart goes to the family of our brother, the late Honorable Jimmy Uguro. His wife, his children, and grandkids, his family, the people of Usinobundi, and the people of Madang. I pay my sincerest of respects to his life, send my condolences of my family, my people of Kompi Amambum, the people of Enga, and the executives, the supporters, and members of the Liberal Party. Nothing we can say will lessen the pain and sorrow at this time. But we tell you sincerely that as leaders with families like you, we hold you in our hearts today, and we mourn with you, and we thank you for sharing Brother Jimmy Uguro with the nation and the people of Papua New Guinea. We are grateful for the productive life and the contribution of the late member for Usino Bundi and the good Minister for Education. Only recently, Mr. Acting Speaker, we passed the amendment as a Christian nation, and we must never forget that despite our differences and diversity, our Christianity as our common denominator unites us. We have a 400-plus-year-old Christian Holy Bible before us. And may, Mr. Acting Speaker, the promises in the Holy Bible cover our brother as he rests. Rest well, Brother Jimmy. Your race is run, and your Maker has called you to rest. May God give you, your family, peace, and may God bless Usinoboni, Medang, and Papua New Guinea. Thank you, Mr. Acting Speaker.
The Honorable Minister for Civil Aviation.
Thank you, Acting Speaker. I stand here as a National Alliance Party leader representing my family and people in the Matanai, the National Alliance Executive, National Alliance membership nationwide. Nanolu Sting Ting Tu, representing NGI region, Lomipla, Lohia. Our sincere condolences to the family, to the clan, and to the people of Usinio Bundi. You losing one pla troop la leader man. Me first, Bungi Mem, Tami been president of the National Alliance Party. I was part of the selection committee that endorsed him as a candidate. Lo this la time. Na mi sanap lo here, na mi proud no go through. Mi maki one pla kind leader man. Mi maki more line lo using Bundi lo ben medang. Lo kam lo Parliament House. Want them credentials na qualification belongen where you may look in wisdom lo Prime Minister blo you me maki mem or sem Education Minister. Plani tok go pinis lo side lo all get the contribution and me walk him. Me privilege too inside lo National Executive Council and me sit down lo right hand side close to lo me. Me blood to play side story liglig go come. His passion to deliver as the Minister for Education, undoubtedly, he was committed to the task. We have lost a good leader, someone who carried his portfolio with integrity and passion, someone who I saw and me trupla man. You me lose your blood trupla man. Trupla leader. Lewa blomi brook lo disla. He had now lo bring him kind man or say me come back. I mean no like him die belong end, lo die nothing. On new generation, na mi blow leader inside lo here must look lo kind passing na mi bingat. Na mi try na emulate him. And be committed and dedicated to the task on hand. Time you come up member of Parliament, and more importantly, come up Minister of State. Once again, sincere condolences, Nigolo family. Minanap, try and appreciate him what you're going through. Lord, this is the time. Sorry true. Nigolo you plor kita. Sanap lehen Brother Blomi, may you rest in eternal peace. You stop now, Lord, look God, Papa. Me platu by being one kind rot. Nami like you, me all geta. No one listening thing, no late Jimmy. Now passing and me walking. Rest in peace, Brother. Thank you.
The Honorable Minister for State Enterprise.
Thank you, Mr. Acting Speaker. I also like the other stand before you to, on behalf of the people I represent, the people of Argan, of course, Western Islands, and the party I lead, United Resource Party, extend our heartfelt condolences to the wife and the children of our brother and fellow minister, the late Honorable Jimmy Ugro. Mr. Acting Speaker, the late Honorable Jimmy Ugro came from one of the most powerful tribes and clans in Usinabundi. The people of Gama, of course, now lost one of their finest. Someone they held in the highest regard and looked upon him as a leader. If we look at the story, and I must say I was very surprised when I received the news early in the morning that our minister had left us while in the course of performing his duties as a minister for education. I was very surprised because it wasn't only a few days ago that I had met and as usual he gave me a smile and we shook hands and hugged each other. He was indeed someone I began to respect as a fellow leader and of course someone I call as a brother. I first met the late Jimmy Ugro in the middle of 2013 when he was the district administrator for the very elected that he's represented. And when I heard about this story from his humble beginnings, starting with a job as a storekeeper back in 1992, and then his determination and commitment to make himself a better person and to get an education for himself by first obtaining a diploma in primary teaching and then working very hard to get a bachelor's degree in education, and then of course finally getting a master's degree in the profession he loved, especially education. Here you have someone who was, Mr. Acting Speaker, a very, very determined person who wanted to do the best for himself and his people and of course his country. When he first became Minister for Education in the Marabe government in December 2022, I started to work with him in cabinet and I found him to be someone who was very determined to carry out his job as the Minister for Education. And over those 2-3 years that he's been working, I found him to be someone who really wanted to turn and improve our education system. And he was one of those who, many of us, I think, regarded him as a reformist minister. Even during those times when we were under pressure, in Jimmy Uguro, you would find someone who was always calm, always had that smiling face. And for him to leave us so suddenly still leaves a lot of unanswered questions, and especially when he died while on duty, performing the job that he loved very best as Minister for Education. Mr. Acting Speaker, he is someone who was at the pinnacle of his career as a political leader of his people of Usinabundi, the Gama people and his tribe and the people of Medang. He was at the pinnacle of his career. He had achieved everything he had wanted to achieve. And of course, as we all know, Mr. Acting Speaker, he died while on duty. Mr. Acting Speaker, you don't get to hear stories about a determined person who started from humble beginnings and finally reaching the pinnacle of his career as a state minister and dying at a young age while doing the job that he does best. It leaves us with a lot of questions, but as we all know, God gives and God takes. And as a mere mortal, who would I be to question God's timing? For all we know is that we will indeed, when our time comes, follow him too. So that, I suppose, gives us that confidence. But all I can say at this stage, Mr. Speaker, is that I really wish to ask God to give his people of Gama, his family, and his children peace and wisdom in this very dark time of their lives. Brother Jimmy, may your soul rest in peace until we meet again.
The Honourable Member for Abao.
Thank you, Acting Speaker. I also stand up on behalf of the people of Abao to pass on our deepest condolences to the wife and the children of the Honourable Leader, his people of Usinabundi, Gama, and Medan. Also, I want to, in the absence of our Honourable Governor for Central Province, pass on our deepest condolences to the family and say thank you to the late Minister on behalf of all the teachers and all the children of Abao and Central Province. Honourable Acting Speaker, I just want to share a short message which demonstrates all the qualities that all of us know about this Honourable late Minister for Education. On January 23, 2023, I sent a text to the Minister because some children who attended the Car Memorial Adventist Church complained about them charging the fees. So I sent him the charges to the late Minister. And I sent that message at 14:56 on January 23, 2023. 14:56 I sent the message, and at 15:01, 5 minutes later, the Minister replied. My admiration for the late Minister, Jimmy Uguro. Not many ministers do that. He answered within 5 minutes. From then on, when I used to listen to his statements and his responses to the questions, I realized that he was a true educationist. He had real passion for the job, and he loved this job. On behalf of the children and the teachers of Abao and Central Province, we will miss this minister. Thank you, family. Thank you, God, for giving us this leader. May his soul rest in God's eternal peace.
The Honourable Minister for International Trade.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I too rise this morning with a very heavy heart to offer my deepest condolences to the dear wife, his children and grandchildren, the people of Usinabundi, and the people of Medan, and our nation for losing one of the greatest education ministers of our time. I stand here to represent not only my family and the people of Young South and East Sepik and Greater Sepik, but also to represent my party, the PAP party. It was in 2017 that he came into power. And I remember very well, Mr. Speaker, when I was Minister for Planning, that he called and wanted to see me. And in his words, Tambu, Bundi is one of the most underdeveloped districts of this country. We have a mine, but we continue to be undeveloped. Please, in the 2028 budget, include a road in my district. We need to be unlocked. And I ensure that we did just that. And I'm so thankful that I went to Bundi to deliver the funding for that road when he was still alive. Mr. Speaker, I had invited him to come to my district to launch a new secondary school and announce 2 science lab projects, because my district is focusing on quality education. Not just education for the sake of education, but quality. And I wanted that message to be driven by the minister himself. I thank God that he gave me only 2 days' notice and did come on Sunday, the 4th of February. Together with his secretary and a small team, I accompanied him on that flight to Wewak. And we were received by the Provincial Education Division. Welcome to the airport, and we had a really good evening together where he met the whole ECPIC Division of Education. Mr. Speaker, I'm so thankful that in the discussions that in the dinner I hosted, he supported our plan in ECPIC to have 3 inspectors rather than 1 in the 56 high schools we have in the province, because 1 was not enough. I am so thankful that himself and the secretary agreed to give us 2 more inspectors. When we get them, they'll go down as record as one of his greatest contributions to the education of the sons and daughters of ECPIC. Mr. Speaker, he visited the electorate on a chopper on Monday and visited 2 schools, the Wingate School, and pronounced that that school will be upgraded to a secondary school next year, and announced a $1 million kina commitment for 3 science labs. And further visited the Paul Malmal High School, also in West Angro, to open 4 new classrooms, and announced also that he would support the funding of 3 new science labs. I'm come to bless me plan and no one. I'm come to simple of place. Today, my district and province is in mourning. We are completely shocked, and it's such a great sense of loss for a minister who came to our province to bless us and left us in the way he did. Mr. Speaker, the great chief brought many leaders of this nation to our province over the last 50 years. Never have we experienced a situation like this, which we were totally unprepared for. Today, I want to place on record in this honorable house my thank you to the people of ECPIC, my provincial government, the administration, for pulling together and making sure within 4 hours we were able to deliver that body to the airport in record time, in a coffin that was fitted for the state minister. The courthouse worked, NUGINI worked. Thank you, Prime Minister and Honorable Duma. The PHA moved, education moved, Deputy Governor was there on the ground, police moved, the PPC moved. We all pulled together and ensured that within 4 hours the body was at the airport ready to be airlifted. That is a record. I want to thank my people of ECPIC. I'm extremely proud of what you did. Thank you very much. Mr. Speaker, my DDA has met and we have committed to building the 2 science complexes in these 2 high schools. Whether the national government honors its commitment or not, we will this year. And complete it and bring his wife and family to open these 2 science labs and name them the Uguro School of Science in both high schools in his memory. I want to place before this honorable house, as Minister of Cabinet, and assure the people of Madang and the people of this country that Minister Maro will do everything within my means to support the completion of the formulation of the new Uguro 2025 to 2075 education transformation plan that is yet to be completed in terms of the write-up, approved, and I will make sure, as long as I'm in Parliament, that we will support its implementation. I remember in the last dinner we had together on Monday evening, he was full of life, and he said to me, bro, something is really wrong with the psyche of our people. You just have to look at Black Wednesday, Mr. Speaker. I want to get to a point where under the new system, when you leave your phone, your mobile phone in the market, you should come back there and find your mobile phone. That's what I want to achieve in my new plan, the Uguro plan. I will never forget that. He wants a complete mind shift in the hearts and minds of our people and the attitude of our people. This is the Uguro plan. And I'm so thankful that I spent the last evenings with him and he outlined his vision and his dream. And I will do everything within my power and means to support him to realize that dream, and we can forever remember him and let his legacy live on in our great nation. Finally, Mr. Speaker, people are typical custom line. Line sorry. I want to assure the governor and his people of Madang and the people of Busino Bundi, we will come with our chips, we will come with our custom. Next week. With members of parliament, our presidents, we will come to say thank you to this great man, to his family, his tribe, for giving us such a great minister and a leader of our nation. And we'll do everything to support him, pay respects to him and support him to make sure his dream and legacy lives on in this nation. Only God will understand why he took him at this time. And we'll know in the by and by. But to you, my brother, the late Honorable Jimmy Uguro, may God keep you. May an angel look after your grave. May God reward you for your great efforts. And may we see you in the golden morning. Goodbye.
The Honorable Governor for Morobe.
Mr. Acting Speaker, we care up to long this moment in time. Lo surukim tok tok lo bel sore na ting ting sore na pasen sore. Kolong display yang klo brat lo mi big play yet em sing out mem. Na now em start lo andlong big klo yumi Papa God. This brother, me say call him lig brother. Now I'm calling me big brother lo me. This brother I'm not a kind man. Long country bli lo Papua New Guinea. I'm not a kind man. Now one through me like talk sorry long. Tambu Mary this lig brother. Time Papa you lose him you me. You miss a worry big true. Because Papa is stop and you mean by stop. Every problem you may face him by meeting him Papa. You talk to Mary one time all picking knee. By looking Papa. Time him stop you makes him strong. Time him stop you makes him strong. Today now Papa God sing out to him. You stop the worry. Meeting him one for time he passed away. Mary blew me by thinking about him. Now this is a thing. Me stop na me sorry one time you in a family.
Suppose you start long prison plus for parliament, you are in the talk. Come straight lo lewa blomi. You know, come lo mouse blomi, but come lo lewa blomi. I'm sorry. Can't you believe me, Mr. Speaker? And we can't report up long big plus solwara side tight, hard long old man, so cross him. Pull up big plus water, rough water, hard long old man, he cross him. Big plus mountain, place where rain shall stop over the time, hard long balus go put down. Time governor, me Samuel Blomoma Governor's Council, me shall travel long helicopter, long. Andap DY straight, me let's fly andap too much, we must fly andap DY. So that we can look him, andap DY na tamble block DY, na all grassland, we can look him. Now me say run him, we go straight, long electric block Markham, long side block 1 to what, me cross over, long mountain block like horse, now me cross over, long mountain block, Bundi. Now me cross over, long mountain block all Simbai. Now, you go to Engram, now me fly over. This last place and place for mountain. That's all man service stuff inside straight long mountain. Or less long come out or like stop long papa mama to muna blong been stop. Also have likely stop lo this lahab. Now also stop. Some of the time I find him hard to understand him or karim tarpla kapa. No I wrote na karim kapa go lo this lahab na walk him house. Miss I look him. Or put in water supply. Me look him. And me hard black country lo this lahab. Hard black country straight. Me blow winning over the mountain blue islands. Because me shall crab me go long mountain islands lo, you go long Yalabu, you go long Hagen or you go long whatever me go. Mountain replay long plan no storm plan up. Rocket through mountain or sem blum blum momase. Long lane you go. Mountain blum blum hard through winning you blah. That's all them meaning across because them unmark long God. Emit sawe no why am putting me play emit sawe. That's what people establish this hard life. Now every Christian shall go, shall pray long, Papa God by giving me plan leader. Now all praise long, when I believe me long, who's in the Bundi, only pray strong. Long, one will begin to belong all, and be born on this mountain, inside on this mountain, Mama you carry him, hard work and me face him, life I mean need him evidence long and by sawe. Evidence him emir, witness him emir. Also all pray na Papa God answer him all on leadership lo legal brother now sleep lo slav. No what noise long in him sleep start. Answer him. And me answer lo pray lo all people lo usno bondi, Mr. Speaker. Time God he had him cry lo all people lo start lo big time and by answer him all straight. Now me looking to brother also answer lo prayer lo on no usno bondi. Now I prove him straight. Miron no 2022 no go no sponsor the People's Labour Party long meden. Mironi go travel post up no this leader brought up me stop long. Saucy. We can look at Saucy. Now me come down now all boy like buying boy now. Me come down now. Me winning brother me come down now. All people don't have you look at me. Ay songang what songat no me. Okay this label solve me. What songat no me. Now me take. Time election time ya. You blow about him sad. Me ask him not to online talk. And me try to notice one stop there money get and mark you out. Now money good plan man. Mangi blow place. You know mangi blow town. Mangi blow place also. Because that leader I mean require him evidence long life blow people belong in. And yet he witness. Now God he answer him long also man himself on this floor. Heavy blow people. Let me answer him. Me to people thank you, Papa God. Thank you, Lord, Papa God. Lord, you shall give him leader, long answer in prayer, long old people. Me talk, Papa God, me talk, thank you, Lord, you give me blah, young brother. Number 2, Papua New Guinea people all need him, minister, long answer him straight, long, heavy long Papua New Guinea, long side, long education, long, you me long Papua New Guinea. Plenty mangi will find him hard, all no go long high school, all find him hard to go long high school, system you allow him, donc, some of the plan through by come out, no, no, continue. System of education, and me also. That's all young boy, maybe long mathematics and poor, Maybe you know met English semi poor, but maybe I'm good long English. Or maybe English semi poor. That's only me two good long mathematics, not long science. And field below science, and but good. Suppose school belong and by continue. Now, this Prime Minister, long answer below people below Usino Bundi, that's all answer below prayer, below people below Papua New Guinea, give him good leadership, long all by seven long life below people. Now, and by son of leader man, carry him heavy, not threaten. Now, long education, long we come to this long code or vote. This is something, and second chance. Second chance. Now, government system, you know, looks at more long display. You know, looks how good long display. That's what this minister and the scientist long education. In the manate, God give him this work, scientist long education. Also, let them serve long heavy below you mean long Papua New Guinea. Now, we can't mean the right time, long answer himself for one end. Now, apply the money, give him second chance on Prime Minister, you talk. Me, I'm also you mark him, this is brother you me, a Minister of Education. Now, this minister I'm sitting down here and me find how much question you go long him. A minister is short long talk. And me master long education. In master in control of education system in the country. That is why I'm by answering me good. Dr. Pokatemo and talk and me right and talk. And I give me answer straight away. Now you better pull up long answer long. A man who was in control, he was in master in control of Department of Education and in the formulation of policy of education. Now, he himself physically, me and Lomorope, me invite him to the minister. And me don't say, want to talk, me give one excuse me to talk. Me invite him in, and become the soul. Even me invite him in, that's what master said invite him in. And belong come to soul. Because lewa belong in, na name lewa belong in, and me belong education, belong country belong. Now, M come long hard place. No ocean of Bundi, mountain place. Now, M can serve a lifelong man, a mountain place. Was there, what can he do? This hardship belonging to me, driving him, or give him good education in this country. Ligri brother, me pay respect to you. Me pay respect to you. Contribution to you. And it's top clear. Now, me by no ablution thing. Now, Prime Minister by mark him new education minister. Me hope, believe strong, and by come to answer belong God. Answer God by answering him. Now, and by continuing, this is a good work, and me walk him. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable members, the question is that the motion of condolences be agreed to. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those against say no. Ayes have it. Honorable members, in mark of respect to the Honorable late member and minister, I would like to ask all honorable members to rise from your places. I thank the Parliament. Clerk, any petitions? Notices? Clerk.
The Minister for Mining give notice that he shall present a bill for an act to provide for the implementation of the shareholders agreement between the state and refinery holdings as the founding shareholders of the National Gold Corporation, and pursuant to which agreement of the National Mint, including the National Gold Refinery, the National Gold Bank, and the National Gold Marketing, will be established as subsidiaries of the National Gold Corporation, the State Equity Corporation, which will hold shares in the National Gold Corporation on behalf of the state, and the state's new refined gold industry regulator, the National Gold Authority, will be established, and all gold mined or recovered in Papua New Guinea will be refined by the National Gold Refinery. And B, international standard gold bullion bars, legal tender investment grade gold coins, and other gold products will be manufactured and minted by the National Gold Refinery and the National Mint, and national gold notes and other gold-backed instruments will be issued by the National Gold Bank for the benefit of the state and for related purposes. The Minister for Mining further gives notice that he shall present a bill for an act to provide for the approval and ratification of the National Gold Corporation project and shareholders agreement between the state and the refinery holdings as the founding shareholders of the National Gold Corporation and for related purposes.
Honorable members, question time. Clerk. I believe what is it? Honorable Minister, I've been informed that you're trying to respond to a question being raised. You will respond after the question time. When the question time lapses, then you can stand and respond to a question that you have to. Thank you. Honorable Governor for Oro.
Thank you, Mr. Acting Speaker. My questions without notice are directed to the Prime Minister as our Treasurer, and these questions are on the subject of taxes. Acting Speaker, this series of questions that I raised to the Prime Minister are in respect to the recent decision made by the government this year to do away with the dependence rebates allowed on taxes paid by income taxpayers. Mr. Speaker, the dependence rebates allows taxpayers earning an income through formal employment to claim rebates for up to 3 dependents. These are most often their children or their spouse, their parents, but also other dependents that they may be taking care of as their children. As we all know, we have a lot of responsibilities to our extended families. As you are aware, most Papua New Guinean families are taking care of a lot of dependents besides their own. And these rebates, which range from 60 kina to about 300 kina per fortnight or thereabouts, help these families during these very difficult times. I believe that the decision made by the government to remove these rebates was based on advice from the IRC and to be effected this year. I believe that this decision was temporarily suspended primarily due to the events of January 10th, as per the IRC website, where the Commissioner General states that. Mr. Acting Speaker, I believe that despite the decision to suspend the implementation of the removal of the rebates, many organizations are still implementing it and depriving taxpayers entitled to this rebate from receiving it. My questions to the Prime Minister are this. Will the current suspension be lifted and the implementation of the removal of the withdrawal continue, or will they remain in force, and if so, for how long? Can the government immediately consider repealing this decision and allow income tax earners who are entitled to these rebates to continue receiving them? Can the government ensure a thorough effort is undertaken by the IRC by way of relevant awareness such as full-page newspaper ads, TV and radio ads to inform the people and those companies responsible for implementing the rebates? Will the government have the tax review report of 2015 reviewed and its various recommendations considered, coordinated by the Treasury Office? And can the government ensure that in future all tax policies be reviewed by Treasury and a team of credibly, relevantly educated persons so that it is not implemented just by an individual or individuals without consultation of stakeholders? Thank you, Mr. Acting Speaker.
The Honourable Prime Minister and Treasurer.
Thank you, Mr. Acting Speaker. I want to thank Governor for asking this important question. Let me be upfront. The Cabinet has decided that we will take a review in this decision in terms of allowing the rebate to be removed. Cabinet's decision stands, and at the moment instruction has gone out to Treasury and IRC to look into withdrawing this bill from our budget bills, budget documents, and in the next sitting of Parliament, appropriate corrective measures will be taken for our budget 2024. This dependency rebate will be then restored back to ensure our taxpayers are not given support in respect to the dependents that they look after. So I want to give some context to where this matter emanated from. When our Treasury was going to budget preparations for 2024, Mr. Acting Speaker, the Nogara-Bogan report was brought into conversation. In the report it states if the government were to increase the non-tax-paying threshold at any time, then a consideration must be given to for us to remove the dependency rebate. And so Cabinet, in its considered view, felt the uplift of non-tax-paying threshold to 20,000 kina was much higher than the value of the dependency rebate. What it technically means, for instance, in the lower wage earners who are earning around 20,000 kina, around 63 kina or 63 kina plus would be net increased take for them as a result of us lifting the non-tax-paying threshold to 20,000. But the dependency rebate would mean that we plow back around 20 or 30 kina. So the net result is that at least they're taking home a little bit of increase. Now but this came, in my view, on the greater part of our government caucus and our Pangu caucus. This policy consideration from the Bogora report was totally contrary to what government caucus want. The government caucus wanted a full relief to our people in tough times. And the budget documents last year considered that Bogora report also, and it removed the rebates based on what happened and the administrative inquiry as a result of the January 1st, January 10th mayhem. It was considered that the rebate be restored, and we're making that corrective measures. Administratively, that instruction has gone to IRC for IRC not to implement rebate, and for us to restore that at the earliest. I want to indicate to this House in our next sitting of Parliament we will make the corrections. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Bulolo.
Thank you, Mr. Acting Speaker. Before we start, Mila Toksavelo, you also, this is a perfect example of a glitch. Mr. Speaker, my question is directed to the Minister for Mining. For the Prime Minister and the Minister for Justice and Attorney General to take note. Let me briefly outline the background to the series of questions, very, very short questions, Mr. Acting Speaker. Since 1929, Bololo district continue to have alluvial, small scale, medium and big mining in the district, including Hidden Valley and now the Wafi Golpo mine. Mr. Speaker, my questions are, number one, does the ministry and its agencies know the ore reserves and the expected mine life, including benefits that accrue to the state? Hidden Valley was said to have a mine life of 10 years, but mining is continuing over 10 years now. So how long is the mine expected to continue? Mr. Speaker, number two, a mining lease was issued instead of a special mining lease. So can the state acquire 10% equity for the people in view of the loss? Number three, is the minister aware that the Hidden Valley mining MOA has gone over the review period? What is the position of the state in this matter? And number four, could the minister inform the people of Morobe if the company has now expanded mining extraction and operations into a new lease of Hamata and Kerimanga, and whether it is a new lease and why no MOA has been negotiated? Number five, the Bololo district has no representation in the future benefit funds, no input in deciding projects under the Special Service Grants or SSG, including the maintenance and upgrade of the Wa-Bololo Highway. Has the minister conducted any review and assessment on the various provisions in the MOA with a view to improving the benefits to the people and the state of Papua New Guinea? Number six, the Bololo district continues to be ignored, even in the recent distribution of 50 million Kina infrastructure development grants, or our, we like to call it our favorite, IDG, for the Wafi Golpo mine. So does your ministry expect the Bololo district to be stepped all over on the negotiations for the Wafi Golpo mine? Finally, number seven, the Bololo district signed a supplementary agreement with the Morobe provincial government on the distribution of royalties. What is the position of the government on the inclusion of the DDA in the mining MOA? Lastly, number eight, is the ministry considering the position of Bololo district that any mining township, whether for Hidden Valley mine or Wafi Golpo mine, must be located inside the Bololo district, including the operations of MRA, SEPA, and other departments? Thank you, Mr. Acting Speaker.
The Honourable Minister for Mining.
Thank you, Member for Bololo, for your good series of questions. Firstly, I'd like to state that the alluvial mining sector in this country is a very big sector that accounts for about 1 billion Kina. That's money that goes directly into the local miners and communities around the country. And that industry is big relative to the fisheries industry. Fisheries pays about 600 to 700 million Kina annually into the government coffers. But alluvial mining itself is a big industry that needs proper policy development and standards in the industry that must be complied with and regulated properly, so we maximize benefits to our local communities around the country and in alluvial mining districts. I was appointed recently. I have spoken to Mineral Resources Authority that we focus on developing alluvial mining policy in this country so that we can be able to develop this sector effectively for meaningful participation in the sector. In terms of the MOA benefits for Hidden Valley, I'll consult with MRA, including benefits sharing between districts within the alluvial, within Wa-Bololo, Wa-Waria, and other districts surrounding in the project areas. We'll consult with MRA, and then I'll provide a brief, detailed response to your series of questions. With that, thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Ungai Baina.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
I have a question to ask the Health Minister, but I think he's not here. I'll probably direct that question to Prime Minister. In 2019 and 2020, we had a COVID-19 pandemic that really struck the world, and of course, Papua New Guinea. A few of us in our private capacity gathered to help in Eastern Highlands. And in the process, with the support of former Health Minister and former late Chairman of PHA, we installed an oxygen plant at a cost of 4.8 million kina. The plant has a capacity of producing 87,600 cubic meter of oxygen, or equivalent to 11,680 cylinders in a year.
Yes, Honorable Member for Ungai Bena, since then you wish to ask your question to the Minister for Health. Since then he's now in the House. I'll leave it to you whether if you can direct your question straight to the Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you, Health Minister, for coming in. Firstly, before I begin the question, I want to thank you for visiting our hospital recently at Goroka and presenting 15 million kina to our PHA. So thank you very much. So my question is in regards to the oxygen plant that was installed in 2022. It was completed on the 12th of April 2022. And as I mentioned earlier, it's the largest oxygen plant in PNG. It has a capacity of producing 87,600 cubic meters of gas, or equivalent to 11,680 cylinders, 50 liters. That has a value of 4.5 million kina. Currently, the Department of Health buys gases from BOC and supplies the entire Highlands region. In the initial proposal that we did, the purpose of the oxygen plant was not just for Eastern Highlands, but for the entire Highlands region. 10 months on, the oxygen plant has not been commissioned as yet. 2.5 weeks ago, I was there at the hospital. I visited my auntie, and I witnessed firsthand 5 deaths, 3 at the emergency and 2 at the ward, simply because there was no oxygen. Deaths that could have been avoided or prevented, but we didn't prevent it. We have a multi-million kina oxygen plant sitting there idle, and yet people are dying. I do not know what the reason is for the delay of commissioning the plant, and I don't know when it will be the plant can be commissioned. Minister, you know I've been following up so many times on this. People are dying. When are we going to commission that plant? Are we going to wait for more lives to go? The department is spending more money. You can save more money. You can save at least up to 4.5 million every year just from this plant. I don't see any reason why we are sitting on this. So my question to you, Mr. Minister, why is the oxygen plant being delayed from commissioned, and when will the plant be commissioned? Thank you.
The Honourable Minister for Health.
Thank you, Acting Speaker. Let me take this opportunity to thank the good member from Gabena for this question. Firstly, to give some clearance, I think, let me also make mention that 15 million kina being presented to all the PHAs is an amount of money that has been budgeted during the COVID period for all provinces. And the disbursement of those fundings are actually based on the work plan being submitted to National Department of Health. In the recent past, we know that there's a lot of allegations in reference to funds being managed at the PHA. So what the National Department of Health did was to hold on to the funds until proper work plans have been submitted. So remember that PHA from Eastern Islands got theirs when they submitted the work plan. Mr. Speaker, in reference to the question been presented this morning, firstly, technical assessment of the oxygen plants was completed by the National Department of Health Pharmaceutical Services Standards Branch and the Health Facilities Standard Branch on the fourth quarter of last year. Assessment report has been presented, has been completed and sent to the Eastern Islands PHA and the supplier. The National Department of Health Pharmaceutical Services Standards Branch is working on the therapeutic requirements for oxygen as a medicine. Different oxygen plants provide different concentrations of oxygen, and it is quite important for us to maintain some standards. Because of that, that compliance process is taking a bit of time. The plant can be operated once the National Department of Health Pharmaceutical Services Standards Branch gives the approval for operation after the due diligence and compliance checks. From the report I'm getting, work is in progress. The oxygen plant for Goroka is being worked on together with the oxygen plant, PSA oxygen plants for Port Moresby General Hospital, for Mount Hagen General Hospital, for Nonga Hospital, and Enga Hospital. So once the compliance tests have been completed, they will all be given approval to use. Now, we can't use the lack of oxygen as a reason for deaths, and we can't blame that a reason for death, because deaths, they go through a proper audit process. And we can't make mention that because of the lack of oxygen, people have actually passed on, because that's a serious allegation that needs to be verified by authorities concerned. All other sites are also waiting for the National Department of Health Pharmaceutical Services Standards Branch to clear the therapeutic aspects, including good manufacturing practices for oxygen as a therapeutic product or medicine. I will also provide a full detailed written explanation to the good member, and I appreciate his question because he's been following up, and I think he's one member who's been really helping the Goroka-based hospital in terms of funding from his DSIPs and all that. So I thank you, member. I think we need to work with our local leadership to see health services being delivered to our people. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
We have a supplementary from the member for Goroka.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. I'd just like to add on what good Minister Paungai Bena and my colleague in Eastern Islands has mentioned. And I also like to mention, or say thank you for the good Minister for allocating funding to the hospital in Goroka. That being said, Mr. Speaker, the Goroka-based hospital was built by a company called Verma Group of Company, and he did a very good job, Mr. Speaker. Unfortunately, that hospital is just sitting idle. It's like an elephant in the town. We have no staff to maintain that hospital because of technical issues within the department and treasury. Mr. Deputy Speaker, I'd like to ask the good minister when they can look at fully utilize that hospital with qualified staff. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, let me also thank the good member for Goroka for this question. I think it's a very, very important question, and it actually illustrates the current problem we have in the country. and that is the acute shortage of health workers. This is one of the policies I'm actually trying to drive. Before we embark on big infrastructure projects, we have to make sure that a clinical services plan are in place and approved by the PHA. What that means is that there must be a structure in place before we start building infrastructures. You plan make a good lab facility go now. Suppose no got more money by cement. That's the problem. So now I'm suggesting strongly to our NSC and our government that before we start building new facilities, we must make sure that the staff structure for those facilities are actually approved and funded by Treasury. Because what we are doing right now, it's like putting the cart before the horse. We are building a lot of, it's the same problem with the New Enga Hospital. It's a good facility being built, but we are realizing in retrospect that, to get the appropriate staff to really make the hospital work will be a problem. So I think it's the same thing with the Eastern Islands, the new extension to the Eastern Islands, the Goroka-based hospital. And what we are trying to do, and I've been pushing, and let me thank the former treasurer and Minister assisting Prime Minister now. We were able to get a bit of improvement in the last budget. We got about 121 million, and that amount of money is actually being remitted directly to the PHA so that they can actually increase the number of workforce. But Speaker, whilst I have the floor, this is a very, very important issue facing the country right now. It's the acute shortage of health workforce in the country. Before we start building new facilities in your districts or in your provinces, you have to make sure that that is being done in collaboration with the Provincial Health Authority. Now, if they tell you that there's no positions for those facilities, don't go ahead and build because you're going to waste money. They'll be like white elephants sitting there. So before you start embarking on any projects, it's always important to make sure that they are part of the clinical services plan, what we call the clinical services plan. And if that clinical services plan reflects that facility, that means that they are funded positions for that facility, so you can go ahead and start constructing those facilities. So let me thank the good member for Goroka. It points out a very important aspect of how we are managing health in this country. A lot of us, because of the political demands placed on us, we want to make happy our supporters, so we are going ahead and building facilities without approval from the health department. It must come with the approval from the provincial health authorities and the health department, because when that's done, you have staff already there ready to facilitate or ready to actually carry out operations on those facilities that you build. And I'm pretty sure that's one problem with the new extension at the Goroka-based hospital, and I've raised it with the management. Hopefully they get to create positions to fill those positions quickly. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Kokopo.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker, Acting Speaker, Luksawe, long all people below Kokopo. Question below me go along Minister below Attorney General. Now before me ask him question, Acting Speaker, courthouse, National Courthouse below me along East New Britain. Now I know belong East New Britain as well, but belong entire New Guinea Highlands region was on fire 5 weeks ago. But thank you, long all service providers, also through long halibim long all lo put him down building na mi play no lose him. This is a building which now Mr. Polsem almost 26 years after long eruption, long Stabur war. Today, Acting Speaker, there is a backlog of national court we stop inside. Now, it affect him. All people belong East New Britain to entire New Guinea Highlands region, Lodesla courthouse. Ask him me go along minister. So we got plan belong building new court facilities inside along Kokopo, which is the regional hub of New Guinea Highlands, or Nogat. And Taplongan Acting Speaker. Me play provide him land available, but me play like him by minister. He assure him people belong New Guinea Highlands region, particularly the people of East New Britain, as the fourth city inside Papua New Guinea also one time by him building these court facilities, because today also me talking his acting speaker. He got backlog long all national court inside long New Guinea Highlands, not all Papua New Guinea where only work come inside long Kokopo. Thank you, acting speaker.
Minister for Justice and Attorney General.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you for the member for Kokopo to ask a very important question. He has alluded to me the destruction of the courthouse in Eastern Britain. This was happened some 5 weeks ago. So it takes time, planning, and we will certainly look into this, and also discuss with the Chief Justice what we can do to build a new courthouse. So, having said this, Mr. Speaker, I may also take a chance to take this opportunity. Not long ago, we have appointed a number of judges. 5 recently we have appointed. Out of 5, 1 national and 4 expatriate judges we have appointed. So we are addressing the backlog of cases. So it's a serious matter we are taking on board. Even I can also say that judges who are delaying judgments, we are also giving them notice. 5 of them we've given notice. So the arrangement we have done is for 6 months, conclusion of the case is judge himself will take in charge. After 6 months, Chief Justice, after 6 months to 12 months, is Chief Justice takes over. And after that, Judiciary and Legal Services Commission takes over, which I am the chairman, which takes over. And that's a serious matter. Delaying judgment is one of the concerns we have. At the same time, we're giving more money. Well, at the same, we demand that Papua New Guinea demand that justice be delivered. Justice not delivered is denied of justice. So we are taking it on board seriously. Chief Justice, Deputy Chief Justice, all the judges are taking this matter as serious. So we certainly will look at the backlog of cases, and we are looking at it. Thank you very much.
The Honourable Member for Middle Fly.
Law given time law, Middle Fly. Question Domi want to know about Toksabe and Golo, Minister for Intergovernment Relation. Nubla 7 plus Nubla District. Nubla start to work creation or some more additional or Nubla LLGs. And I hope maybe not all, but some Nubla make him. Nubla finishing Mogata endorsement or DDA, come law PEC assembly. And then all this law documents Nubla Muslim law, office law, department. And I hope department is Luxawel or this law, now you receive in finish. With the LLG election and come close to June, so far we plan no response to this law yet. Most of the LLGs we plan like creating have not come out yet, so we are still waiting. Asking Blomi and go send minister. One time, you talk one time by this law. Creation law, new law, LLGs, law this law, new law 7 by district by come up. No good people not finishing this law work yet, the election come up. And then by all this law, new law, LLGs, by you mean on have got president's law or election by Ron Hussein. So enough minister talks about this law house, now people, law this law country. One time, or this the new LLGs, you may creating by come up. Thank you, Acting Speaker.
Minister for Intergovernment Relations.
Thank you, Mr. Acting Speaker. My headset is not working. I can't even hear the question being asked. Can the Honorable Minister repeat the question again? Sorry, member, repeat the question again. Thank you.
I think by missing out again.
Honorable Governor for Gulf, we still have a question. The Minister have asked if the member for Middle Fly will repeat his question, so I'll ask him to say your question again.
Thank you. I think maybe I repeat again. Minister, now you are more. Okay, thank you. Question to me, Minister, Acting Speaker, thank you. 7 Nubla districts. Nubla Sambla, Nubla like creating some additional Nubla LLGs. All the paperwork, endorsement, start the DDA, Kamlo Assembly, na PC and finish. Na Miss Hours, Mibla Kisi Kamlo Department, I am stop on the view. And I hope you are aware of that. So now that the election am come up, or LLG election am come up close to time to June, and we are just remaining, I think 3 months left. Now this election am come up. So asking Blomi and Mosem, one time by NEC looks away or this law creation of new LLGs. Now you may be him so that time you work election by this new LLGs too. Or this new 7 district, new LLGs you may create him too by you may get election blood this law. No good you mean no straight in this law now you may go inside the election. And what this 7 new district where you may create new LLGs but no election blow him too. So in a view talk sawe lo this la house, one time people lo this la country lo. One time by all this la gazetted lo new LLGs inside lo 7 new district back come up. Thank you, Acting Speaker.
The Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Acting Speaker, and thank you, Middle Fly, is it? Yes. For your very important question, especially in relation to LLG election that is now upon us. In relation to your question in regards to new LLGs that you have made reference to, the process is being done. We already received your request, and request has to follow proper procedure by within the law, and that means that after your request has been made to your PEC, and then the PEC then sits down and then recommend to my office for consideration. And that process, if that has been done, then that's okay. That's within the procedures defined by the law. However, if it's not done, then we have to refer it back to your provincial government, which is Western Provincial Government, to have a look at it. Coming back to the questions about new LLGs or new wards being recommended by different districts to their PECs for consideration. That process is now being finalized, and I think my department has already advised me that lots of such requests have been received from many provinces to be included for consideration by NEC. So that process is being finalized, and we are kind of wondering where we can cut off point is, because so many requests are coming in. As far as the last request we received, which was last week, and we are now making it as a cut-off point so that we can at least address this issue in relation to those who have already submitted their request, so that we can submit to Cabinet for consideration and approval, so that we can then give notice to those new LLGs that have been approved so that they can then participate in the coming LLG election. Thank you, Mr. Acting Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Gumini.
I would like to direct my short questions to the Advocate Minister for Health. But before I direct my question, I would like to, through you, thank the Minister for the money of 15 million he delivered on behalf of the Marawi Rosso government to Kundewa St. Joseph Nombre General Hospital during the Christmas New Year period. Right after he delivered the money, we saw on the 13th February on the social media dead bodies in Kundewa dumped on the car park in front of the hospital. And so the question is, the money was delivered, how and why those dead bodies were dumped on the streets? So my series of questions is, what was the reason for dumping the corpse in the car park in front of the Kundewa General Hospital? Whose job, number two, whose job is it to ensure the dead in a respectable hospital are treated with respect? And thirdly, through you, Mr. Minister, are you going to order an investigation into the operations of the Kundewa St. Joseph Nombre General Hospital? Thank you.
The Honourable Minister for Health.
Thank you, Acting Speaker. Let me also thank the good member for those series of questions. Again, let me make myself clear. The 15 million kina that was given to all the PHAs was money that was put aside to address the capacity issues we have in the country. When COVID-19 came, we realized that it exposed us to a lot of issues with our health system. We realized that our health system was quite fragile in terms of capacity in both infrastructure and human resource-wise. So our good Prime Minister and the Cabinet in their wisdom decided to put money aside to address those capacity issues. And so, like I said, some PHAs got their money in advance. Others who didn't have a clear plan, the monies were retained until they came up with their expenditure plan. And we started disbursing those monies, and in the process, I had to meet up with all the PHA CEOs and board because it was important we met with them to make sure that they understood the functions and responsibilities of PHA and how they can work in collaboration with the leadership on ground. Thank you for those questions. Leader, I think, Mr. Speaker, PHAs have been created to ensure that the service delivery mechanism is actually closer to the people than far removed in Port Moresby. So if you look at it, it's basically a decentralization process where power is devolved to people on ground to take care of their own health. And studies done throughout the world have actually shown that when you bring those decision-making processes closer to the people, you get more impact. So in answering your question, I don't know the reasons why the bodies were actually dumped at the hospital ground, number one. The second question, whose job is it? Ultimately, PHAs are an autonomous organization that deals with health for any provinces. So that means that they have to answer to the board. They respond to the board. So ultimately, the issue lies with the board. The board should hold them to account. And if the board fails to hold them to account, then it comes back to my office. The National Department of Health, in this new arrangement that we have, the National Department of Health basically provides policy oversight. Now, with the amendments that we passed last time, we realized that a lot of the boards sometimes are politically appointed, so they are basically cronies, and they don't do their jobs well. So with the new amendments, part of the power has been given back to the minister's office. So if I don't get any written complaints from leaders from Simbu or people from Simbu, I won't act unless a formal complaint is written, because on ground you already have a board that's supposed to look into the health authority, the provincial health authority's performance. So, Speaker, through you, I want to make this very clear to the Parliament that it's important to appoint good boards. When you have good boards in place, they will hold the PHAs to account. Now, to finish answering this, what the PHAs have actually done, this new reform has actually done, is given so much power and authority to the PHAs. And sometimes they abuse the power that's given to them. And that's why it's important to appoint good boards so that the boards can provide that necessary oversight that we refer to. And in this new arrangement with the new amendments we've done, the provincial administrator actually becomes a voting member in that board. So that means that the provincial governments will have direct visibility in the performance of any PHAs. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Governor for Gulf.
Thank you, Number 2 Speaker. Number 2 Speaker, ask him below me, no talk sabe go Prime Minister, because Minister of Petroleum no stop. That's all before me. Trauma just asking go am. Me like talk thank you long former Prime Minister, na government belong Peter O'Neill, Honorable Peter O'Neill. Long working good agreement where we consult one time me, one time Minister Soloy, now one time former Deputy Prime Minister Bloem.
Honorable Governor.
Yes.
Since we have the Minister for Petroleum now entering Parliament.
That's okay, I already asked the question. So
to the Prime Minister. Go ahead.
So, me like talk thank you long. Honorable Prime Minister, former Prime Minister now, member lo Yalibu Pangia, long working good agreement lo Papua LNG. And we consulting me for Ogata, na gas agreement and me come up all right. Me like talk thank you lo Prime Minister, na government belong him. Long time me coming and me straighten fiscal stability agreement. Not two, any kissing position where I must review this agreement. At the end of the day, former Minister for Petroleum, me like to thank you, Liam, because I am working one plan, and we come inside now where national content, na participation, and me clear. So me like to thank you, Liam. So on this law, ask him, I'm simple, straightforward. Former Prime Minister working good work, that's all. Last week or so, I'm working one plus statement. This is statement that me go say, Papua LNG is now, project is now a sitting duck or a dead duck in the water. So me like asking Prime Minister, this la talk me true or not, because people of Gulf, now people long country in Masawe. Former Prime Minister working good work, Tasalem suitim this la talk come out. Because I'm former Prime Minister, time I'm working this la kind talk, it affects everyone. So enough, you clear mayor, and this la talk me true or not. Thank you.
We have a point of order.
Deputy Speaker, me finish him talk, so we can walk and talk then.
Eliglik also na me like straight him to talk blend. I know got one blood to talk also this like be sitting duck or shooting duck or one duck. Me to got some this la project and work lo go ariap na totally no giving full commitment blend lo this lab where only working investor briefing lo time only working this la investor briefing lo office blow. Awesome na me working this last statement, so please talk him Governor, lo put him to talk straight. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Member for Yalibu Pangia, since then you have made clarification on the point. But the question is already been asked by the Governor for Gulf, so I'll ask the Prime Minister to make clarification on the issue and the project that the Governor have asked. Thank you, Prime Minister.
All right, thank you, Mr. Acting Speaker. Pass them through me like, so thank you, Equal members, giving respect, long, brother, come sleep, long, sit down in the house, and we go out. We're having his funeral service right after this, and so I will try to keep my response short, but sincerely appreciate all the respect on both sides you've given to the late Honorable Jimmy Ugro. Let me assure this House that Parliament and our country that the Papua LNG is not a sitting duck. Papua LNG is not stopped. Rather, the cost element has been blown out as a result of where we are in 2023, 2024. The world is not what it was in 2018 when this project was brought together. I want to commend the previous administration. After 8 years of being in office, at the sunset of that government, they delivered the Papua LNG. Papua LNG stands to return to us in the total, it's improved from PNG LNG. PNG LNG's return to the economy stands at 49%. Papua LNG's return to the economy is at 51%. If I could relate a project that my government is moving on, PNG LNG and possibly Wildebeest, we're sitting at 62% in terms of take for our country. So if you look at the increase to 51%, it is an increase nonetheless from PNG LNG. PNG LNG was a foundation project. We commend the previous government for ensuring that Papua LNG was conceived. The agreement was signed. Under our words, we were able to have a little bit of review. The review was not to stop the project, but we want to define better local content so that we can increase, for instance, in the shipping business or other business that PNG must participate in the construction phase. The construction of this project at a time when it was a project agreement was signed was a $12 billion project. Today, the cost has blown out to almost additional 30 to 40%. Total has given us assurance as the lead project partner in the Papua LNG that they have not abandoned the project. Rather, a project is on the table. Project will be developed. Today, as we speak, the upstream bid, upstream construction bid comes in and is supervised by Total. The downstream is supervised by ExxonMobil. ExxonMobil, the bids for downstream are being opened as we speak. The bid for the upstreams are also being opened. What they have received as project manager, the lead project company, is that the cost has blown out a little bit. Lest we forget, in the cost blowout, Kumul Petroleum also on behalf of our country contributes to the cost of the project. And so it is in the interest of all partners of the Papua LNG to be cost conscious. At this time, globally speaking, with the Ukraine war that is taking, Ukraine-Russia war that is taking place, the backdrop of COVID-19, the world is a different place. Contractors also who are bidding, it is a tight space in terms of bid to participate in the construction of Papua LNG. Contractors maybe realize the advantage they have. They've also bid at a higher level. So Total is pulling back to look at the bid again, to look whether there could be some cost savings. That alone has caused a little bit of delay, but nonetheless, they're working very hard to ensure the project is not stopped. And I want to assure this House the project is not stopped. It's a delay by a couple of months. Once the entire cost is put on the table and the entire project partners, including our own Kumul Petroleum Holdings, agree, then the project will go ahead. It is at the floor level, $12 billion project. I want to give assurance to everyone, this project is not stopped. For our national government and national interest, we are sequencing Papua LNG with Penang LNG, and the governor, however, has just returned from the field with the Minister for Petroleum yesterday. They visited a possible exciting prospect called Wildebeest, a little bit northwest of Kerema. And so exciting time coming out for us. I give assurance to Governor, Papua LNG is not stopped. Contrary for us, in this little bit of delay, we're working with the project partner for greater up in local content, especially in the aspect of getting more Papuans to be engaged in the construction aspect of this project. Thank you, Mr. Acting Speaker.
Honorable members, our question time has lapsed. I believe Minister for Higher Education, you have a question paper to reply.
Thank you, Number 2 Speaker. I'll just be very brief because the questions asked me by the last week by the Governor for
Honorable Minister, I will ask you to seek leave from the chair. I will ask you to seek leave and
Thank
then
you. Thank you. Please, I seek your indulgence to forgive me for my ignorance. I seek the leave of the chair to answer to questions raised last week. Thank you.
Leave granted.
Thank you very much. The first question asked me was to some detail by the Honorable Governor for Manus with regards to the subject of tuition fees paid or asked by the universities and the HEIs, higher education institutions, and also as to if I could ensure there was a delay to give time to the parents and the students to make some payment rather than the imposition by some of the universities or colleges or TVWANs to making sure they pay within a certain time period. And members of parliament or other sponsors who were keen to sponsoring the students in the tuition fees, they found difficulty because the times elapsed. Those are the major questions asked me. Mr. Deputy Speaker, I'd like to say that I have a detailed response to this question, and I will seek leave of the chair later to incorporate into the answer so that members of parliament can get it in detail, because I put those in detail as to the facts. But in generally, the universities are autonomous. I'm one keen believer that believes in giving the independence to institutions of governance. Our universities, let them run, let them have a brain, they have the council or the committee that runs them, and they must work independent of influence. So what I've done is I've given that independency or the autonomy, and they are independent to operate in their space as learning academic institutions, and I'm happy, Mr. Deputy Speaker, that that is taking place. Therefore now, setting of the university or college or TVET tuition structure is something they determine subject to the courses that they offer, and what I do as a minister responsible is to just making sure that those are done fairly by me administering to the Education Act through the Secretary, and the Secretary then works with the governing councils. In some universities we call them governing councils, the others the chair, the board that run them. So that's how we are operating in terms of addressing those issues. So what I would like to say here is that the university's fees that are charged are justified in terms of the costs that they charge students. But I like to emphasize also that 70% must be paid up front. That is the general policy implemented by all the HAIs. Why that is so? Because in the past, some students have delayed payments because members of parliament have asked and have several arrangements with those institutions to have the fees paid at the later time, and sometimes the payments never went through or some support never went through. So then you find they are full of all these liabilities. So the universities must survive and must do the job to meeting costs like academic resources that is needed, faculty salaries, infrastructure and facilities costs, or to meet student support services, technology and information systems that they must create, and also support research and development or meet other administrative expenses. So students are required to pay 70% up front, and I would like to give the affirmation to this Honourable House and to the people of this country, to the universities, their cost structure justified, inconsistent to the course they established. The students are told in advance as to them having to pay 70% up front, and they must pay those fees. Mr. Speaker, you will also appreciate that it costs about 40 to 45,000 kina per student to educate one in a university in a year. But you'll find, thanks to government, that meet some of this cost through TESAs, etc., and also the universities themselves, they work with it themselves to raise funding that assists in meeting some of those costs. So costs come down to, I think one of the universities starting at a 24,000, that's the maximum. The others, I know they're below that. The one that is charging 4,000 as a maximum is it's a church-run university. The government run below 15,000, so forth. But with the help of the TESAs, it can come down as low as 1,000 and 3,000, and you put in help together to support a student loan scheme, it will even bring the cost down. So the focus now is that we have administered through the system to the universities to delay any payment, so that by mid this year, by June, any sponsor who would like to support the students can support those students. So I think that is one of the focus of the question, and I can give that to the governor of Medang and also to the parents and students, that the universities and colleges will be flexible with you, that you must pay your fees outstanding balance by June this year. So that brings an end to that answer to that question, because we're rushing with time. The second a lot of questions that the answer I'd like to give is with regards to the question asked me yesterday by Saki Soloma, the member for Okapa. I've got it also in detail. I'll give it to him, to the leader, but I'll also seek the Labour Parliament to include it in the answer so that the members can read it. I don't think I should read it because I can see we are really pressing with time, but it's a very important details that are put in. Thank you very much, Acting and Deputy Speaker.
Honourable members, is leave granted? Leave granted. You may table your paper for the answered record. Honourable members, I must inform the Parliament in regard to the notice of motion of no confidence in the Prime Minister, Honourable James Marape, member for Taripori Open, that was delivered to me on the 14th of February. The Private Business Committee deliberated on the notice of motion of no confidence yesterday, 21st February, at 12:30 p.m. at the Speaker's Lounge. The committee is aware of this very important constitutional motion and the process for it. We also note that this notice of no confidence is a matter of national importance. On this occasion, the committee is of the view that this notice of motion of no confidence will not be placed on the notice paper. The mover of the motion, the notice of motion of no confidence, be informed of the reason in due course. Leader of Government Business. Honourable Member for Kiri, what's your point of order?
The notice of motion, the relevant notice of motion is the one dated 20th of February and not the 14th of February, which was withdrawn. And that is a requirement on Standing Orders 136, that any motion before it is placed on the notice paper can be withdrawn.
Honourable Member, your point of order, I'll take note of your point of order and check on with the list that I've made, and a reply will be given to you as I've stated in the paper. The Leader of Government Business.
Mr. Acting Speaker, I'd like to thank members of this House on both sides of the House. I apologize, I've received notice from the House Committee that few of our headsets are not working, and Chair, through you, I thank Parliament that some of the funding that was sent in Last year, tenders gone out and work is about to be started on our new headsets and some of the things that are not working, such as the Minister for Intergovernment. And few of our members at the back, including the member for Wapinamanda, who mentioned that the headset was not working. Through you, Mr. Chair, the House Committee has done some work, and through the clerk, those will be fixed in the coming months. Mr. Speaker, I move that Parliament is rising adjourned to Tuesday, 28th May 2024 at 2:00 p.m. Thank you.
The question is that the motion be agreed to. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those against say no. Ayes have it. Leader of Government Business.
I move that we adjourn Parliament to the date that I stated earlier. Thank you.
Honourable members, I now adjourn Parliament. Sorry? Honourable members, the question. Honourable member, what's your point of order?
My point of order is this. It's quite concerning that a matter of great national importance, being the VONC that we have filed, is not going to see the day of light in this chamber here. We need clarity on the ruling of the private business committee. That reason needs to be given to us because we potentially have recourse in other avenues, but we can't go to those other avenues until we get the ruling. So we need you, Mr. Speaker, to give us the reason why. Why number one, the new notice that has been filed has not reached your attention. You're making a ruling on the previous notice, but the ruling of the 20th, which you have personally signed as received, you're not addressing it now, number one. And number two, the committee is not stating its reasons why it cannot be dealt with now. Today, Thursday, is meant for private members' matters. And it takes precedence in the standing orders. So you need to deal with it conclusively, precisely, and with clarity.
Honourable member for Sinasina Yangumul, I take note of your point of order. I think I have made the statement very clear on reading the statement that on this occasion the committee is in its view that the notice of motion of no confidence will not be placed on the notice paper. The mover of the notice of the motion of no confidence will be informed of the reason in due course. I've made it clear that you will be informed on what the reason that has been made. Honourable member, what's your point of order?
The duty of the chair to inform Parliament as to the reasons why the notice cannot be placed on the notice paper. Yes. The motion that you are dealing with, Mr. Speaker, you already informed opposition leader of the defects. We did a new notice of motion dated 20th, which you received and the clerk.
Honourable member.
You need to clarify to the Parliament, to the people of this country, because it's a matter of national importance, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable member.
What is the reason?
Honourable member for Banimo Green. Honourable member for Banimo Green, I think I have made myself very clear that the motion will be, in due course, will be reported to you, the mover of this motion. Therefore, I will not entertain any more point of order on this. I've already made the ruling, Honourable Leader of Opposition Leader. I've already made the ruling. I will. Order. I've made myself clear. Honourable Leader, I've already made my statement clear that you, as a mover of this motion, will be given more information on due course on what it is, what the committee have decided. So I've already made a decision on that. I will not entertain any more point of order. Leader of Government Business.
Mr. Speaker, me like movers and mini agenda Parliament go on. Mr. Speaker.
Order. Leader of Government Business.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Me like movers and we adjourn in Parliament go 28th. No, that's the date we be setting. No time with 2 o'clock, 2 p.m. Thank you.
The question is that the motion be agreed to. Those in favor say aye. Those against say no. Ayes have it. Honorable members, I now adjourn Parliament to Tuesday 28, 2024 at 2 o'clock p.m.